Everybody, we're back again with some information about inflammation, how it affects our body, what inflammation is, and some quick notes on it. You can see I'm outside with the birds. The temperature's beautiful, so time to be outside and enjoy it. Okay, so what is inflammation? Inflammation is a complex biological response that occurs when the body detects a harmful stimuli. It can be an acute or it can be chronic. An acute is more of like you get a splinter in your finger and you get that redness, kind of pussy, and it wants to work its way out and then it's better. Or a temperature. Your body increases the temperature to deal with a pathogen or an inflammation in your body, and then it resolves. That chronic inflammation is long term. Chronic inflammation is really not good. It can actually cause harm to our bodies. It doesn't just cause that vasodilation and the increased permeability of the blood vessels, meaning that you can get swelling or increased white blood cells that deals with the infection or the resolution. It actually has no resolution to the inflammatory response. So what do we do about chronic? It causes a cytokine storm in our bodies, which leads to aggravated inflammation and damage to our health. It can cause chronic diseases, things like IBS, arthritis, osteorheumatoid, Crohn's disease, digestive issues. It could also cause issues like fibromyalgia. These are things that our body comes in because it finds this kind of a foreign substance in our body. So it comes in and it fights against it. Well, when it comes in to fight against it, if it doesn't just resolve and leave, it continues to go and it sends our bodies into this overdrive. And then our body just keeps going and fighting. And then we wonder why we have brain fatigue. We wonder why we're tired. Is because our whole body is in a constant state of fight. So some of the symptoms of inflammation, acute is going to be your swelling, your heat, redness, pain at the site. And then with chronic, it can be things like we were talking about a few minutes ago, brain fatigue, chronic fatigue. It can be increased in autoimmune disorders. It can be cardiovascular disease. The inflammation of the blood vessels can increase our risk for strokes and heart attacks and increase risk for cancer. And then it can also cause an increased risk of diabetes. Yes, diabetes, because the metabolic system is in overdrive. And then we've already talked about inflammatory bowel disease, and we've also talked about chronic pain. We did talk a little bit about fibromyalgia. So these are things that let us know that our bodies are in overdrive. We can do some blood work to see if the inflammatory markers are elevated, and in doing that, we evaluate and then see what do we want to do about this. Some basic things that we can do to treat this are foods. There are certain foods that increase inflammation in our body. These foods are processed foods. So what are processed foods? They're refined sugars, they're trans fats, they're your processed meats, your hot dogs, your bolognas, your fast food, your carbs, your white breads, your fried foods, your trans fat foods, because everything fried, nobody can just afford to fry fish or chicken in olive oil. So they're going to use the cheapest thing out there. And those things build up cholesterol in our body. So what is cholesterol? Cholesterol is this thing that's floating around in our bloodstream that causes inflammation. And when it does, it hooks to the side of the blood vessels. And when it does that, it narrows those blood vessels, increasing the risk of a stroke or a heart attack, because now you don't have the dilation for anything to float through. So those are some things. your refined sugars and carbohydrates. Oh, I know. Our breads, our pastas, these are things that raise inflammation in our body. If you really want to know if it's raising inflammation in your body, eat it, and within I'd say 5 minutes to 6 hours after, do you have an increased joint pain? Do you have more bloating, more headaches, more brain fog? Maybe you have a real high energy and then you just drop and now all you want to do is sleep. These are all symptoms of the inflammatory issues in our body. So what are some foods that decrease inflammation? They are the omega-3s. The omega-3s are going to be your fish oils, your salmon, your mackerel, your sardines. These decrease inflammation. Your vegetables, your fruits are rich in antioxidants, and your berries, your leafy greens. Now, the information that I looked up talks about tomatoes can decrease inflammation, but I kind of beg to pardon me personally. I can tolerate a little bit of tomatoes, but tomatoes can increase joint pain for me. So with this is all in general, you know, God made you specific to who you are and how you digest and process your foods. So always pay attention. Just because somebody else can doesn't mean that you can. Now your spices, ginger and turmeric, those can help reduce inflammation. So really, in this particular thing, we're just touching base on what inflammation is. So let's go back over it. Acute inflammation is dealing with that acute disease, a sinus infection, a splinter, the sore throat. Those are acute. Our chronic are going to be more of the IBS. It's going to be more of autoimmune. It's going to be chronic fatigue, chronic pain, cancer, diabetes, and heart disease. Those are all things that are caused by inflammation and contribute to a decreased lifespan in our life because of the chronic inflammation. So how can we help with this again? We can help with decreasing processed and saturated fats, processed foods, saturated fats, and your carbohydrates and your refined sugars, and increase your vegetable intake, your fruit intake. And I'm going to even say, if you have to do bread, do a wheat bread or a sourdough bread. Things that are going to normalize the pH in your stomach. We'll talk about that later. Next week, we hope to dive in a little bit on some things that are going to be talking about some specific foods that cause inflammation and ones that decrease inflammation. Thank you guys. Don't forget to hit the link below, and we thank you. Have a great day.